What's going on, man? It'll be a little short today. This meeting I got to go to. Uh, and you see that game last night? Cowboys put up 33 on the Raiders, and that's not really surprising because the Raiders are struggling, and the Cowboys they got that offense this year. I figure they can score 30 a game, so they're doing right about what I thought they would do. Once they acquired Pickens, that took some of the pressure off CD Lamb. But the question is, can the Cowboys stop somebody to be competitive? Well, they were really horrible for most of the year. But all of a sudden, you get a trade for Quentin Williams from the Jets. Now you're getting a little pressure up the middle. The defense is improving. And even though it was the Raiders, they held them to 16 points. So pretty much doubled them up. So now the question is, can the Cowboys maintain that defensive performance, or is that just because they played the Raiders that they were able to hold them down? In other words, are the Cowboys a legitimate threat to the Eagles in the NFC East? What was my thought on that? Well, Selmo come right out and say, not at all. Let me go ahead and tell you, I don't think they're a threat either. Their defense is just too bad. And you can game plan around pass rush. If you can just run the quick game and get it into that weak secondary, then it'll be the same thing continuing as usual. The same kind of thing that you're going to see with Baltimore. Everybody's all excited and want to anoint Baltimore as the AFC North champions, and they just want to see them in the Super Bowl so bad. Well, with that defense they got, that Swiss cheese defense, I don't care how healthy they get, they hadn't shown me that they can stop the run. And until the Ravens can stop the run, they ain't going nowhere. So, yeah, they're on a couple game win streak right now. Yeah, they got everybody behind them, but I just don't see how it's going to translate to victories if your defense can't stop anybody when you need them to. JC, how you doing, man? We're talking about these Cowboys. Me and Selmo here about, do you think they're a threat? Well, they're going to have to do more on the defensive end. They have to make some critical plays down the stretch to figure out if they're really going to be a threat. But the thing about it is they have the Eagles this week. So we're going to see right away what kind of game plan they can come up with to try to knock off the Eagles. I haven't said that. The Eagles kind of remind you of Buffalo in the late 80s. They call them the bickering Bills. They're going at each other for whatever reason. A.J. Brown always has something to say. And it seemed like they're just turning on the quarterback for whatever reason. They say he's acting differently against zone coverage. You don't want to try to stick the ball in there. You just rather pull it down or throw it away. And they don't think that's a good thing. But when I look at the Eagles' offense, it seems like they operate much better when Hurts is escaping from the pocket. He's able to get X amount of running yards and throw the ball down the field. And that makes that Eagles team hard to stop. And I think in the end, they're going to get it together. And they're going to have to because even though Washington is pretty much falling apart and the Giants, they're falling apart. It's a two-horse race between the Eagles and the Giants. I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys. And I think the Eagles already beat them once. So if they beat them this time, that pretty much put a nail in that idea. But if they were able to somehow get by Philadelphia this weekend and get a couple bounces later on, the Cowboys could wind up in the playoffs. Now, I don't think they're going to have enough time to come back to win the East. But if they can keep scoring points and that defense can gel and perform a little better every week, then they could make a little noise in the playoffs. And it'd be very interesting. But that's just for the Cowboys fans who want to have something to get excited about. Me, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I like the Cowboys when they're halfway decent because I don't like the Cowboys. but I also dislike him so much that I don't want him to be 1-15 because that's no fun. And there's no fun in hating the team that's 1-15. They got enough problems. So get decent, Cowboys, so we can throw pins at you like we always do. But we'll see what happens this week. I saw that James Franklin, he's supposed to give a press conference tomorrow. He's been hired as the Virginia Tech head coach. Now, he was due to get a $49 million buyout from Penn State, but instead, he's negotiated through his deal with Tech that he's going to get $9 million from Penn State. That's a great bargain for Penn State. But like I told you guys before, if you fire me and you owe me $49 million, as much as I want to get out there and prove to the world that, hey, my firing was a fluke, I'm going to collect my $49 million. I don't give a damn what you say. I'm going to call John Gruden up, and we're going to hang out every Sunday and talk some football, and we won't lose, not 1 week. And then after I get tired of doing that for a while, then I get up and do something. But they're going to pay me something off that $49 million. Then we'll negotiate a settlement later. Now, the only thing that makes that palatable is if you get one of these NBA contracts where you're getting $200 million or something like that, then I ain't worried about it then because now I just made more money from my new deal, but I'm still going to tax you for something. He got $9 million out of him. That's about 10%. That'd be good enough if I'm making a $100 million contract, but that's unrealistic in football, at least for now. But the way things are going, you got NIL for players. You know, NIL for coaches is coming in there too. You got to pay the best coaches to stay, and those salaries are going to tick up, and they're going to keep on ticking up in college. And the money's there. Those schools don't want to pay them. But you just imagine all the money that's flowing now in college athletics. That's been there the whole time. Just imagine how many people got their pockets fattened that didn't put any kind of sweat into getting out there on the field and playing. People in the suits making all the rules in their favor so they can keep all the money. So I'm glad these guys are getting paid, but you just imagine how much money these people have made off the backs of these guys and then tell them or try to treat them like they're the scum of the earth when they take a few dollars on the side. It's just a dirty, nasty game, man. JC says that was the Raiders last night. Cowboys should beat them, I guess you're trying to say. But can you beat an NFC contender? Yeah, that's my question. And I started off saying the same thing about the Cowboys. They got the Eagles this week, so we'll see how they do. But the thing that they have going in their favor, there's a very, very tiny, small difference in the best team in the league and the worst team in the league. You can be the worst team in the league and get on a run, things going your way, and turn your whole season around because the talent is just that much. Just how close the talent level is in the NFL. And it just a break here or there, and it makes all the difference. So we'll see. Selmore, I see that they're going to start Shador this week. I see that a lot of people are going off about the way the Browns handle this situation. You know, your coach Stefanski, he come out and said that Shador didn't get any first-team reps last week, despite being the backup quarterback. Now, even in Pop Warner midget league 7-year-olds, the backup quarterback gets some kind of reps, but they didn't give this guy any reps. And then he gets thrown in there, and he don't look that great. And now people are pointing the finger at the players and see, you get all hyped up about this guy and he don't do anything. But has this guy been fully prepared to do anything all year? Well, no more of that. With Gabriel possibly out with his concussion, I don't know if he's going to be listed as an emergency quarterback or what. Now we get to see this guy Sanders come in, and we get a full week of practice, get all the reps with the number ones, all that stuff. We've been hearing about this guy, all this studying he's been doing. Now we get to see it firsthand in the game. I hadn't yet to see who they're playing yet, but I know he's going to be the starter. So now is what I've been pointing to all year. Told you that Gabriel was going to get in there. He's going to struggle. And Sanders at some point was going to have to play. I think he's going to struggle just like he did, maybe not as much as he did this last game, but he's going to struggle. He's supposed to struggle. He's a rookie. Don't hold that against him. But in the end, I've been telling you guys from the beginning of the season that eventually, before the year is out, they're going to activate Deshaun Watson, and he's going to start a couple of games for the Browns. He's going to come back next year, and he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Week 1, 2026. Mark it down. I told you to mark it down then, and everything that I've been saying about it has been building slowly to that. You get rid of Kenny Pickett, he's out the way. You get rid of Flacco, he's out the way. You got 2 rookie quarterbacks. Why would you keep 2 rookie quarterbacks in front of an established veteran? There's nothing wrong with his arm. It's his legs that went out. The guy can still spin the ball. Will he have enough time to do it is the question. And if these 2 rookies can't solidify themselves by taking complete control of the job, a la like a Dan Marino or modern times like Jackson Dart was starting to do in New York, Jaden Daniels last year with the Redskins, as I still call them. It's just a matter of time before Watson gets out there. But I'm interested to see how this guy does. Now, one of the major people that are ripping apart Sanders is Whitlock. I don't understand. He's got a problem with Dion for whatever reason. And every chance he gets to take a shot at Dion or one of his kids, he's not shy about doing it. He's even getting people come on to piggyback what he's saying. I don't know what his end goal is, but I think he's going a little bit overboard with the criticism. Now, eventually he's going to run across somebody on the streets, and they're going to call him out on that. Because it's one thing to be critical in a journalistic standpoint, but this seems to me to be something that's personal. And you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. And I think that's what it is with him. All right. Okay. JC says Brian Kelly taking LSU to court. LSU doesn't want to pay. They want him. Well, see, I told you that before. See, if it's a binding agreement, LSU does not have a case. But what they want to do is really extend it out, because if Kelly takes another deal, which I think he's going to end up at Penn State, then that will lessen the amount that LSU is going to have to pay. So they don't really want to go to court. All they're trying to do is buy time so they can get a reduced amount, just like Penn State got with Virginia Tech. But the fact that he's going through this, and when the governor got involved, you knew something like this was going to happen. But again, this does not make LSU look good at all. What's going to happen is you're trying to get a top coach. Everybody's talking Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's not going there. It don't make sense to leave a program that you built to go somewhere else when you got all this major problems. The governor's stepping over bounds. He got too many other problems in the state to be worried about what's going on with the football team. And anybody else nowadays that's a top coach, he's going to want to have a buyout. So if you're telling the world that you don't want to pay buyouts that you legally agreed to, why the hell would I put myself in that situation? So I don't know what LSU's doing, man. They're peeing on their leg is what they're doing from my viewpoint. But Kelly's going to get his money. But that goes back to what I told you about Franklin. If you fire me and you owe me this money, you're going to pay me. And I don't care if I have to sit out 2-3 years to get all my money. That's what I'm going to do. And it's not just Brian Kelly or James Franklin. I remember Charlie Strong. He got fired at Texas, but he's so head up that he's got to go coach. He goes to South Florida and he loses money. Tom Herman got fired at Texas. I hadn't heard Tom Herman's name since. I'm sure he's coaching somewhere at this point, but I think Tom Herman sat down for a while and let Texas pay his way. I would have. And it makes solid sense to me that if it's in my contract and you got to pay me, I want to get paid. So I have nothing to prove. Well, actually, none of those guys really have anything to prove once they get to that level because we know you can coach. If you couldn't coach, you never would have got to that level. So I don't understand the problem that we're having here. LSU is going to have to pay them, man. And they're probably going to have to pay more if they have to go to court, plus court costs, because you know doggone well that you have a legally binding contract to do so. So it don't make LSU look good at all, man. Actually, it's kind of embarrassing in a lot of ways. You sign a contract, everything else is binding. You got contracts with these players. You want that to be binding, but all of a sudden you mad at him because he didn't win all the games. He didn't lose. He just didn't win all the games. So now he's just coming to earth and you don't want to pay him. Give me a break, man. Selmo says, will the Raiders beat Cleveland? Is what I want to see. Well, that'd be a great game. Because, you know, they always talking about that the Raiders were a good landing spot for Shador. Geno Smith, he's not playing that well right now. So it's a good matchup for a rookie quarterback because you're not playing against the best of the best. But that guy Crosby is still dangerous enough to cause any quarterback a problem. And if they don't pick him up, Shador might be the next one with a concussion. It's a tough game. Sports Center said it's highly unlikely that Watson plays this year. His hamstring is still in recovery. Man, let me tell you something, man. It all comes down to money. Watson has an extremely large contract. He's not getting any return on investment as long as he's on the bench. Yeah, he might have a bad hamstring, but it ain't so bad that he can't get out there and play. As far as I know, it's his Achilles that got hurt. Now that's once they stitch it up, it come out to be better than what it was before you got hurt. And he had it done twice, the same one. So you just got to know that the second time they went in there, they make sure that they got it right. So he still got 7-8 games and Sports Center, and they just like everybody else. They make an educated guess. Yeah, he got resources and they got people on the ground that have their ear to what's going on with the Browns. But what I see hadn't been too far off from what I've been seeing over the last 40, 45 years. It's been consistent. And the way that these teams behave have been consistent. And when it comes to money, and if he's capable of getting out there, they're going to put him out there. Now, what they don't have that you don't hear about it anymore, but I'm still sure they still do it. They just shoot these guys up to numb the pain or so they can get out there and play. So don't you think for 1 minute that when it comes to the millions of dollars they're kicking out, especially the Browns for a guy that's not playing, oh, hell, they're going to get some kind of return on this guy. And if he's anywhere close to being activated, he's going to get activated. And I don't care what Sports Center say, what the Cleveland Browns reporters say, I'm telling you common sense. And from the wealth of experience of watching this shit for over 45 years. So keep an eye on it, and then we'll see who's wrong about this. All right. Virginia Tech is only going to get better. Yes, it's not a whole lot of difference between all these teams. And you can go from worst to first now with this NIL stuff. You see Belichick, he inherited a bad spot. And a lot of those guys defected on him. But they're starting to play some football. So if he comes back and these players start to see what North Carolina can do and they up that NIL valuation, North Carolina is going to be a threat in the ACC. Now, of course, Belichick's not going to be there too long himself, but he's building a program for his son. So if they can do it there, they can do it at Virginia Tech, where they've already won. They're not far away. Franklin can put together, off his name, a winning team. So things are going to change again. And just like you got new powers building out there in the Big 12 with Texas Tech, it's all based on that guy, Cody Campbell, and his money. If Oklahoma State had NIL when Boone Pickens was pouring all that money in, then Oklahoma State would be a power right now. So things are going to change again. Watch. Tech's going to win. North Carolina's going to win. Well, everybody's kicking dirt on the ACC right now. They ain't playing that bad of a football that they shouldn't be eligible for the playoffs. And it would be poetic justice if they were to get to ACC and get to the playoffs and knock somebody else off for one of these so-called precious conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten. It would be great to see. Virginia Tech payroll will go up. Hope Governor Board can handle it. Oh, they got the money. All these schools got the money, man. Don't you think that they don't? You figure 75,000 seat stadium. You allocate 20,000 seats for students and boosters, and the band and all of that. That still leaves 50,000 seats, and the average seat go up as they win. So you take 50,000 times, let's just say average cost $75. How much money you got there? It don't cost you that much to pay the officials off. It don't cost that much to pay the lights for a couple hours. They ain't hurting at all, man. These people have money as if they printed it. They got it. So don't let them fool you to think that they don't have the money, because they do. So that's just the way that is. That's Larry Barrett. But it'd be Larry Barrett. I don't know if I talked to you before, but I think that it sounds like you're a Tech guy. I used to like to watch Tech when they had Frankie. I used to call them Frankie and the Chickens, man. They always go down to Miami and give them hell. But anyway, I think that James Franklin is a good hire there. I thought he would go somewhere else. But he was in a big rush to get back into coaching. But that's a plus for Virginia Tech, and they'll find a way to pay him, and they'll find a way to get that NIL valuation up. And within 2 years, Virginia Tech will be much improved. It ain't that bad now. A couple moves here and there, they could be in the thick of the race, just like everybody else. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But anyway, that horn just went off, and that means I got to get up out of here. Barrett says allegations for his new coaching staff would be a priority. How much do you think they're going to allocate for that? What you figure the average assistant coach, the top coaches make, assistants making over $1 million now. So I put it to you like this, Barrett. If I want to win, Franklin wants to win, and he walked away from all that money he could have got for free from Penn State, why not reach into your own pocket and pay the coaches if the university don't want to give you exactly everything you need? If it was me, I'd take $1 million and spread it around amongst my coaches. Why not? How much money you need? He's got enough. Now, he shouldn't have to do that, especially if you are at a program where you're winning and they're going to back it up with their money. Not saying that Virginia Tech won't, but it just, if they don't get the allegation that you're referring to, Barrett, these coaches can go in their pocket. And there's nothing illegal about that. And that's what I would do if I was in Franklin's situation, if I didn't get the allegations from my coaches. But we'll see. I don't even remember when Penn State played Virginia Tech. I don't recall. I'm sure they played before. Penn State was average for a while, and I think I've seen them play once or twice before. I look into the research on that. So if you come back on in the morning, I have a history on that. But the way that these schedules are now, the ACC, the Big Ten, Big 12, and the SEC all have to play one game against one other power conference, and it goes round in a circle. So it wouldn't surprise me at all now that Franklin and Penn State come to an agreement. Amidst that agreement, they may have agreed to play each other in the next couple of years. But I'll find out, and I'll let you know tomorrow. But I got to get up out of here. But I'm certain that they played before. But I appreciate you chiming in with me, Selmo, JC, Mr. Barrett. I got to get out of here and go to work. But if there's some breaking news, I'll come back on later on tonight. I got another basketball game, so I'll be posting some more highlights, and I'll be back on about 6:30 in the morning. So till then, you guys have a great day. But let me check this poll. I asked the question: is Dallas a serious threat to the Eagles? Of course they're not. They just look real good on offense, and they look better against the Raiders. But the defense is playing slightly better. They played slightly better last night. And I still don't think it's enough to get by Philadelphia, because as much as the Eagles bicker with each other, I don't see nobody beating them. So until somebody starts to beat them, then that becomes a problem. But right now, It's just an internal thing that will get fixed. They had internal issues last year, and that's just the kind of thing that goes on in sports locker rooms. No different. So keep that in mind. All right, you guys have a great day. And never forget, those Steelers will win the